It's Sunday, April 11th, 2021, and we're going to talk about Cardano. Get ready. Let's go. The Plutus Pioneer Program has begun. They've already had the first lecture, the first session of that program, and the program has been open sourced. This is going to be the bulk of what we're going to talk about today, although we do have a couple of other news items. Let's go. Oh, one more thing. So before we start, I should make it clear, I definitely went to the first kind of social event since COVID last night. Everybody had kind of gotten vaccinated, so we were all good. But I went to the first social event last night, stayed out way too late. So if I sound a little bit unenthusiastic today, it's not that I'm unenthusiastic. I'm just tired because I stayed out way too late. But I'll be back in my game tomorrow, and that'll be the end of this tiredness, hopefully. All right, let's get to it. Well, one of the coolest things that's happened lately in the last week or so was that the Plutus Pioneer program was open sourced. So right here in the GitHub, we can see what they talked about in lecture number one, what exercises they went through, the homework for this week, and we also have access to the Haskell and cryptocurrencies course video from Mongolia last year. Mongolia was the class they taught then. They've taught classes, if I remember right, in I think it's Bermuda, Ethiopia, and Mongolia, and now we have the Plutus Pioneers course. Seemed like people, I saw a lot of chatter online. Seemed like some people had trouble. Some people had trouble loading the Nix shell and doing all this sort of stuff for the Plutus Pioneers class one. But Lars Brunius goes through it all in the class, can give step-by-step instructions on that. So hopefully people were able to figure that out. The one really interesting, the best part of this video for lecture number one was Lars going into quite a bit of detail about the expended, sorry, a little tired, the extended UTXO model that Plutus is based on. That is extended unspent transaction outputs, right? So very interesting comparison to the account balance model in Ethereum. And Lars kind of explained that scripts in Cardano can see the unspent transaction outputs related to the transaction, right? Related to the transaction that's going on with that script. And in Bitcoin, what happens? Bitcoin is UTXO, not extended unspent transaction outputs. Also, but the way it works in Bitcoin is basically the equivalent script would just look at the sender of the transaction and confirm that the appropriate private key had been used to sign that transaction. So you basically have a signature proving that the person possessing the private key that corresponds to that public address, the public key or hash of the public key, actually has authority to be sending that Bitcoin. In Ethereum, the script sort of has a view into the entire blockchain. It has this like global view into the entire blockchain. And I guess that's part of the source of a lot of the security problems that Solidity has always had, that these scripts are too powerful. They can see everything going on in the whole blockchain, and they're extremely powerful. So in Cardano, the script can only see what's going on with that transaction. So because it doesn't have access to the entire blockchain, there's increased quite a bit of increased security, and you've also got a greater level of predictability because the transaction, the cost of the transaction, everything can be predicted before the transactions are already sent because of the UTXO models. We're kind of getting the best of both worlds, right? We're getting sort of like the security and predictability of Bitcoin and the ability to run smart contracts of Ethereum in this EUTXO model. But Lars does a much better job of explaining all that than I just did. So I strongly suggest you check out that video. Then he goes on to sort of run through an auction contract, an auction smart contract that he's put together in Plutus, and he's kind of starting to lay out the different pieces of a Plutus contract. I think probably if people in this course haven't done any Haskell, I've done a very modest amount of Haskell, right? Like the first 400 pages out of that book from the haskellbook.com. So I know a little bit what's going on in Haskell, but I would imagine, but it's going to be really interesting to see exactly what Haskell they pick out to teach. This is only a 10-week course, and it looks like it's just going to be one video per week. It's sort of going to be one video lecture per week with some homework. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Lars chooses to teach the students in terms of Haskell. Like, what are the most important parts of Haskell that he wants people to know as they go through this course? And, obviously he's going to spend a lot of time working on, sort of the Plutus specific pieces. So I'm really looking forward to that, to kind of see where I should be studying my own Haskell or focusing my own Haskell studies. That'll be super interesting to kind of watch that as it goes, what kinds of Haskell homework he gives people. That'll all be super interesting. And I'll also, of course, love to pick up all the Plutus specific pieces that I would not be able to pick up in a regular Haskell course. So anyways, first lecture, really good. All the material was very digestible today. We haven't really obviously he hasn't gotten into Haskell at all. So there's no knowledge of Haskell even necessary yet, but it sounds like this is going to be a pretty hard course. Charles said as much before the course started, and Lars definitely said it was going to be difficult in the lecture today. So I have a feeling it's going to be one of those things where he'll cover things, and then if you did not absorb them, you're going to feel pretty lost. I could be wrong about that, but that's kind of what I'm expecting, that he's going to teach something and we'll get to a certain point where he'll be teaching something and I won't absorb it. And then the next lecture, I'll be lost. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but I kind of have a suspicion that may happen with me because I'm not an experienced developer. I'm sure everybody in the Plutus Pioneers course is much more experienced in development than I am. So they'll probably do a lot better. And that's great with me. And that's why I'm just kind of following along, and they were actually selected to be in the course. So anyways, everything looking good with the Plutus Pioneer course so far. Item number 2, something very, very interesting. If you did not think there were enough Cardano NFTs so far, now we can have even more Cardano NFTs more easily created. This website, nft-maker.io, I believe created by the Cardano subreddit's own user, Patierfind. I'm not sure how you pronounce that username, but Patierfind. I believe he created this, or he's associated with this. Pretty simple, man. Pretty simple interface. You drop a file that looks at JPEGs, GIFs, or .pngs. Drop them in here, and then you just sort of lay out a few data points: the name, who the creator is. I think there's a couple other very simple fields, and they'll NFTmaker.io will tell you how much they want you to send them an ADA to do it, and they'll create an NFT for you. So this might be great for somebody who's maybe not super comfortable with spinning up a node and using the command line interface. This might be a great way if you're just creating like a one-off NFT. I haven't used this myself yet, and I have no idea how much they actually charge. But if the fees are reasonable, if the fees are reasonable, it seems like it'd be a good way if you just want to create a little one-off NFT. This might be a great way to do it. So if somebody's used this, let me know. Let me know how much ADA you paid, and if it looks like the ADA fee is variable, dependent on the size of the of the file, or if it's just like it looks like it's a constant, universal fee amount. Let me know. I'm super interested in this. Might be good if they don't charge too much. If they're charging an arm and a leg, might not be so great. And I haven't actually used it, so I can't quite vouch for it. But super interesting. I think this could lead to even more NFTs in our Cardano ecosystem, which could be good or bad depending on how you feel about NFTs. And finally, yesterday was Get ADA Day. It was Staking Rewards Day. The end of Epic 258, as you can see right there. So we've got the this is day first dates. So you can see the 10th when Epic 258 started. Fees collected 37,980 ADA, average fee of 0.22 ADA, active stake of 22.75 billion, and I believe that represents something like 70% of the sort of like the total float out there of ADA. So we're still doing great. We're still doing great staking wise. I hope everybody did great in the last Epic. Got lots of beautiful ADA staking rewards. And with that, I will see you tomorrow.